You're sitting at a car dealership about to get your first car ever, and they ask you, would you like to lease this car or would you like to finance this car? You don't know what any of that means. All you know is that one option is cheaper. But if you choose that one option, are you making a huge mistake? So in this video, I'm going to be giving you the pros and the cons of leasing versus financing a car. And at the end of the video, I'm going to tell you how to save thousands of dollars on your first car purchase.
Is it Brian? Yes.
Hi, I'm Giannino. I teach you how to make money, grow money, and invest money. So please like this video and subscribe to the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Getting your first car from the dealership can be the most exciting experience ever. That first car smell, the look of the car, how it drives can make you feel like $1,000,000. But if you jump in too quickly, you could be throwing away thousands of dollars with that car. Thousands of dollars you could be investing into the stock market. If you invest $200 into the stock market every month for the next 46 years, you could become a millionaire. So every dollar you are throwing away is precious. My goal in this video is to simplify the two options of leasing and financing and what is personally right for you. And more importantly, stick to the end of the video where I'm going to give you some tips on how to save thousands of dollars on your first car purchase. The first thing I want to point out is the 3-year difference between leasing and financing a car. On average, if you choose to lease a car, every 3 years you're going to be paying an extra $1,000 compared to buying that car and financing it. So just to make sure you understand this, leasing a car is more expensive and you're basically throwing away money doing it, but that doesn't mean it's bad and it doesn't mean it's wrong for some people to do. So I'm going to be breaking down every situation and the pros and cons of doing leasing and financing. Just a quick overview on financing a car. So 3 to 7 years of financing the car, you have to pay a certain interest rate to borrow that money. It could be 2 to 6% depending on your credit score. It's important to have a strong credit score when you're trying to get a car. The great thing about buying a car is that after 3 to 7 years, you own that car, you don't have to make payments on it every month. Now let's swap over to leasing a car. So leasing a car usually has 36-month periods, meaning you can only lease a car for 36 months. During that time, you're going to be paying less money. All you pay for is some costs with taxes and depreciation. So during that 3 years, the car is going to depreciate an extreme amount and you have to pay for that every month. At the end of your 3 years, after you paid for this car each month, you have to give the car back. So it's basically a way to borrow a car. And this does offer some huge advantages and huge disadvantages from doing so. I'm going to go over each comparison category to let you know the advantages and disadvantages of each option of financing or leasing. So first off, let's talk about mileage. And if you're buying a car, you have unlimited mileage. You can drive the car as far as you want, as fast as you want, and there's no one telling you really what to do. But when you lease a car, you sign an agreement that says you have to drive less than X amount of miles in a year. This could be 10,000, 11,000, 15,000. This is pretty average, 15 to 10,000 miles per year. There's nothing wrong with this, but let's say you drove a lot in 1 year. Let's say you drove 20,000 miles. Let's say it was 5,000 miles over your limit. They charge you 10 cents to 50 cents per mile driven over the agreed limit. So hypothetically, if you drove 5,000 miles over your limit, 50 cents per mile, that comes out to $2,500 in fees. At that point, if you're driving over your limit consistently, it doesn't make sense to lease a car. Instead, if you were buying that car, $2,500 could buy you 10 to 15% of the total car's value. Now let's compare this category called the condition. This is the outside condition and the interior condition of the car. Obviously, when you buy a car, you can treat it like crap. You can run into mailboxes, you can ding the car in parking lots, you can spill coffee everywhere, and nobody's gonna tell you you have to pay fines for that. It's your car, you can do whatever you want. You can wipe pizza on the seats. That's kind of gross, but you have the freedom. Now let's move on to leasing a car. And when you lease a car, you're just renting it for a short period of time, 3 years. When you give it back, it has to be exactly as you found it because you're renting that car. So if you have kids and they're likely to stay in the car everywhere, or if you always run into stuff, you're going to get charged by the time you turn the car in. So if you're somebody like that who can't keep a car nice, you're going to pay huge fees when you return it. In that case, it might be better to buy a car instead of leasing it. The next comparison point I want to go to is the maintenance on the car. So when you lease a car, like I said, you're renting that car. So they actually take care of it for you, meaning they do tire rotations, they do oil changes, because when they get their car back 3 years from now, they want that car in mint condition and running like a champ. But when you buy a car, you have to pay for your own oil changes, your own tire rotations. So in that case, the maintenance, the first 3 years of the car, it's better to lease because they're gonna do all that for you. You don't have to worry about it. Now let's talk about ownership. Obviously, when you buy a car and you pay it off, it's yours for the rest of your life. You can do whatever you want with it. When you lease a car, you have to give it back because you weren't the owner of it. You were renting it the whole time. So if you really want to own a car and have it for the rest of your life, buying a car would be the better option. Now let's look into the category of the cost to own that car. So when you're buying and financing a car, the payments are going to be more per month. This is because you're paying off the whole value of the car in 3 to 7 years. And when you lease a car, you're only paying for the depreciation of a portion of the cost of that car. So if the car is $30,000, it may depreciate $5,000. So in 3 years, you're paying off $5,000. But when you go to finance a car, that $30,000 car, you have to pay $30,000 plus dollars in monthly payments. So obviously it's going to be higher, but that is the cost of ownership. Now let's look into the specific category of technology of the car. So when you buy a car, the technology is what it is. It doesn't get better, it doesn't get worse. And that could be a bad thing for some people because maybe they want the latest and the greatest. And the great thing is when you lease a car, you can get the latest technology every 3 years and maybe drive a car that looks better, drives faster, and has more technology. So if you want the latest and the greatest, leasing is the way for you. Now let's talk about getting rid of your car, trying to sell it. So when you buy a car, selling a car is quite the chore and it can be very stressful. You can lose lots of money in the negotiation process and it's not easy. But when you're leasing a car, you don't have to worry about selling it and meeting with buyers and trying to figure that out. All you have to do is give it to the dealership and you're done. It's pretty easy. So the ease of selling or getting rid of your car, the winner for this is leasing. So that is leasing versus financing in a nutshell. Now I want to give you some scenarios where it might be good for you or bad for you to lease a car. And remember, at the end of the video, I'm going to tell you how to save thousands of dollars on your next car purchase. So first scenario is the car guru who wants the latest and the greatest. And we talked about this in the video. If you're that person, leasing is the option for you because every 3 years you're going to get a new car and technology is always changing, so you're definitely going to get the latest and the greatest. The next scenario, let's say you're a mileage junkie, you're driving everywhere, you're going on road trips, nobody can stop you. In this case, you're going to be penalized by huge fees by going over that certain limit you agreed upon with the dealership when leasing your car. So if you're leasing and you drive a lot, it's not right for you. In that case, you should be buying your car because the amount you're going to be paying in fees over time might make sense to actually buy that car. Now let's look at a scenario where you're a penny pincher and you want to save money, maybe invest into the stock market. In this scenario, it makes more sense to buy a car because after 3 to 5 years, it's fully paid off. You don't have that bill that you have to pay just to lease a car every 3 years. So like I said earlier in the video, every 3 years, you're paying an extra $1,000 to lease a car. That money could be best suited maybe for the stock market or paying off your mortgage. So it's really precious every dollar you can save. And the most exciting thing is when you buy a car and it's fully paid off, you don't have that bill lingering every month that you have to pay. But when you lease a car, you have to pay every month for the rest of your life until you actually own something and pay it off. So in this case, for the penny pincher, for everyone who's looking to invest in the stock market, owning a car is the right thing to do. Now let's look at a scenario where you're a college student with a lot of debt, or you're just a regular person with a lot of debt. In this case, every dollar you add to your debt might affect your credit score, but also you can't borrow as much money when you already have debt. So if a car costs $600 a month in financing, but $600 a month pushes you over that debt to income ratio of 50%, let's say you can only afford $200 payments per month. In that case, leasing might be better, only because when you have a lot of debt and a low credit score, you can't afford to add more monthly payments because it might push you over that 50% debt to income ratio. Now, the moment you have been waiting for, we're going to tell you how to save thousands of dollars on your next car purchase. And here's the trick: when you go to a dealership and you know how much the car costs, you know the monthly payments, and you know the interest rate to borrow the money, the next thing you want to do is look at other dealerships in other states. And if they're selling the car for cheaper or maybe giving a lower interest rate, you can go to your dealer and show them that, and they will honor and match that. So this could save you thousands of dollars over the lifetime of the car, and all you have to do is just call up those dealerships, figure out what the prices are and what the interest rates are. The really cool thing is when you buy a car, they will offer you lower interest rates than you can find at banks. So my car right now is a 4% interest rate, and that is from my bank, but my friend who just bought a car got a 2% interest rate, about half the amount that I got, meaning the amount he's paying in interest each month is half the amount of the amount I'm paying in interest each month. At 2%, he's basically borrowing money for free. Lastly, I'm going to give you a video on 7 ways to save loads of money. Please check it out to the right of me. I think you're going to love number 3. Your spending habits are holding you back. They could be the main difference between having wealth and being completely broke.